The day before the wedding, my fiancé informed me that the wedding was postponed. He turned around and married his first love in the wedding dress I designed with my own hands, in the church I had arranged. I questioned Zhou Jun, only to be met with his cold eyes and blame. Ruru is dying. This is her last wish. Can't you stop making a fuss? I was unwilling, and Zhou Jun pushed me to the ground, causing the loss of my unborn child. Later, my childhood sweetheart was seriously ill and forced me to marry him. I agreed, but Zhou Jun cried and said, "I don't agree." I shook off his hand. "He's dying. Can't you stop making a fuss?" On the wedding day, my groom said he couldn't come due to something urgent. I was busy every minute and second preparing for the wedding, but now that I'm suddenly idle, I feel a sense of emptiness in my heart. It was at this moment that my best friend Yang Mei called. Ran, have you finally come to your senses? I said, "Zhou Jun, this scumbag is not suitable for you. You play this trick very well. Today is about to get married, now let him find someone to get married temporarily." Before she could finish speaking, I lost my strength in my hand, and the phone fell straight to the ground, making a huge noise. Young Mei on the other side of the phone also noticed something was wrong and immediately stopped talking. My reaction, even if she is slow, should also react. "Where are you now? I'll come to find you right away, this dead scumbag." The voice of my best friend's anger came faintly from the other end of the phone. "No need, Mei, I want to solve this matter by myself." Young Mei has always thought that Zhou Jun is not a good person, but unfortunately, I was blinded by love at the time and thought he was the best man in the world. Unfortunately, now I have been severely slapped in the face. Qin Ro also sent a message at this time. Zhou Jun said that this wedding dress was made to measure for me, and only I wear it the most suitable. The wedding dress she wore was the style I designed for a month. Today is my good day, at least as a classmate. You can't come to see the excitement? Maybe I will be happy, and I will return Zhou Jun to you tomorrow. My heart sank sharply, and I couldn't hold on any longer. Tears fell down. Why? Why should I make a wedding dress for these two dogs and women? I simply packed up myself, picked up the car key on the table and went out the door, and drove straight to the wedding scene I designed. Zhou Jun is really good at borrowing flowers to offer Buddha. The moment I pushed the door in, the wedding march playing inside suddenly stopped. I glanced at the guests, all of whom were on the wedding invitation list of Zhou Jun and me. Especially the Zhou family parents, sitting in the front, and I glanced at them in a hurry and avoided my eyes, looking like I didn't know how to face me. I walked step by step to the couple, and before I said anything, Qin Ro had already hidden behind Zhou Jun, as if I was going to eat people. "How did you come?" "I can't come. Isn't this the wedding scene I arranged carefully?" Zhou Jun's face was also a bit ugly, and he hesitated for a long time without saying a word. "Sister, it's all my fault. The doctor said my illness may not be cured. I just want to marry brother Zhou Jun at the last moment, so..." "Shut up. Do you have a place to speak here? I am a bit impatient. The most hate is the little white flower that likes to act. If you really feel that you have done something wrong, you should take off your clothes now and get out of here. This wedding dress was designed by me with my own hands. Every detail is my hard work, and thinking about it being worn by someone else now makes me feel sick." As soon as the voice fell, Qin Ro staggered back 2 steps, her eyes red, and she looked like she was about to cry, which made people feel distressed when they saw it. Zhou Jun, that scum man, has been fascinated by her. He didn't care that there were so many guests in the field, and he hugged Qin Ro, and his face was full of blame towards me. "When did you become so aggressive? Qin Ro is about to die. Can't you let her go? It's just a wedding, it's not a real marriage, and the position of Mrs. Zhou will still be yours in a few days. How can she not really die, and she still has to disgust me before she dies?" I shouted subconsciously, and the words I said didn't pass my brain at all. Qin Ro couldn't stand it suddenly, and tried to hit the pillar, but Zhou Jun held her tightly. "Don't hold me. If I die to make Sister Xinran happy, then I might as well die here." "Tang Xinran, have you had enough trouble?" Zhou Jun was holding Qin Ro while shouting at me with a look of anger. "This appearance seems as if I really did something terrible. It's just a mouthful. Let go of your hand, and see if she will really hit it." "You are simply unreasonable. Tang family taught you like this?" He still has the face to mention the Tang family with me. My parents grew up watching him, treating him as if he were their own, and this is how he repays my parents. I pointed to the Zhou family parents sitting in the first row, and I pulled the corners of my mouth. Then I will go and ask the uncle and aunt, did they teach you to be entangled with your ex on the wedding day, and change the bride to her? Slap! As soon as I finished speaking, Zhou Jun's slap fell on my face. He was really angry, and his body was a little trembling. Are you all dead? Take her down for me. With this roar, the security personnel who were eating melons around had to get up helplessly and took me down. I was casually thrown by them in the lounge, listening to the sound of the door being locked, and my heart was as cold as the bottom of the sea. The lively atmosphere in the front hall did not last long, and soon the door of the lounge was opened. Qin Ro was wearing Zhou Jun's suit jacket, with red eyes, as if she had suffered a lot of grievances. Sister, if you don't want me to wear this wedding dress, you can just tell me. There is no need to tamper with the wedding dress, right? Zhou Jun, who followed behind, also looked at me angrily. This man is really brainless. I just found out that the wedding dress was worn by Qin Ro. Where did I have time to tamper with it? I walked up and pulled the suit jacket wrapped around Qin Ro, but Zhou Jun pulled me angrily to see the wedding dress inside. Just that glance, I saw the situation inside. The wedding dress was broken. You should also understand that what does not belong to you cannot be forced. I implied Zhou Jun. Fortunately, I saw the true face of Zhou Jun before getting married, and there is still room for regret. If I really got married, I don't know what kind of life I will have after marriage. Sister, are you still resenting me? I really didn't know you would care so much about this wedding dress. Qin Ro pursed her lips and looked at me with tears. I didn't speak, but silently took out my mobile phone, looked at the 3 words Qi Xingfan in the contact list, hesitated for a while, and still called. The call was connected very quickly. You said before that if I married someone else, you might as well die. I just figured it out. I really shouldn't kill people indiscriminately. Qi Xingfan, when do you have time to come back? Let's go get a certificate. There was a joyful voice from the other side. I didn't want to listen more, so I hung up the phone. What do you mean? Zhou Jun's face was as black as the bottom of a pot. I said, after this matter is over, our wedding will continue. Do you have to make such a fuss? Zhou Jun, you just heard it too. If I don't marry Qi Xingfan, he is going to die. Can't you have some compassion? I left this sentence and turned around and left the place. I just got home and hadn't been quiet for a while, and there was a knock on the door. Ran, it's Mom, open the door. The moment I opened the door, my mother was followed by Zhou Jun's family. It seems that these people haven't told my mother about the matter, and they all feel embarrassed. What are you here for? I pulled my mother to my side, subconsciously distancing myself from this family. Zhou's mother had an awkward smile on her face. Ran, this is just a misunderstanding. My aunt has already severely criticized Zhou Jun. You say you are about to get married. What is this about? It's as if she wasn't at the wedding scene that day. My mother also persuaded me on the side. After all, Zhou Jun was brought up by her, and in her heart, his character is impeccable. Having such a person as a son-in-law, she is very satisfied. What kind of misunderstanding? Aunt, do you want to tell me that the groom at the wedding was Zhou Jun's twin brother? When Zhou's family heard this, their smiles immediately froze. They obviously didn't expect me to be so unface-saving. After all, we are neighbors, and it's not good for anyone to have a stiff relationship. My mother's expression was also very ugly. Qin Hui, is this what you told me about the little quarrels between lovers? If the Zhou family can do such a thing, according to my mother's temperament, this marriage is definitely off. Xinran, don't make a fuss, okay? I was also forced at the time. I swear I will be good to you after marriage. Come back with me. Zhou Jun took the opportunity when my mother and his mother were tugging and turned to hold my hand. After all, he is an adult man, and the disparity in strength between him and me is huge. Seeing the redness on my wrist, I couldn't get rid of him. Let go of my daughter. My mother picked up the broom and hit Zhou Jun, and Zhou's parents naturally wouldn't stand to see their son being bullied, and they rushed over, making the house chaotic. Xinran, don't make a fuss. It's not good to make a fuss, and come back with me obediently. You are just the trash I don't want, and I don't have the habit of recycling trash. Zhou Jun was completely angered by this, and let go of my hand abruptly. I was struggling, and when he let go, I lost my balance and fell down. Almost instantly, blood flowed from between my legs. Mom! The The severe pain made me black out. You scoundrel! My mother pushed Zhou Jun away and shakily helped me up, dialing 120. When I woke up again, I was already in the hospital. The doctor regretfully told me that the child couldn't be saved. Don't cry, Ran. My heart is broken. My mother held my hand tightly and wiped away my tears. And the Zhou family was just watching, even with blame in their eyes. Mom, let them get out. I don't want to see them anymore. I closed my eyes, and the pain in my lower abdomen made me unable to deal with them anymore. How can you talk like this? Before she could finish scolding, I picked up the vase beside me and smashed it hard. Ah! Zhou Jun's mother was hit accurately, and her arm was instantly scratched with a long mark. My mother, in order to protect me, quickly stood in front of me. Hiss, Ran, how can you hit so hard? This is our mother. Zhou Jun frowned and glared at me, with a look that I was unreasonable. Zhou Jun, do you think that after such a thing, I will still marry you? I looked at him coldly, as if I was looking at a stranger. I have never doubted him, and I have always been meticulous to him. But in the end, he even began to question my innocence and push everything onto me. I know you are talking nonsense. I'm sorry, Ran. I just spoke out of turn. Auntie, don't hit me. Zhou Jun hurriedly pleaded for mercy, and I stopped my mother. Not afraid, but worried that my mother would get hurt. No matter what you are talking about, I will not continue the engagement. I rubbed my eyebrows irritably. If you are still a person, then take your mother out of my ward. But Zhou's mother was reluctant to leave. After all, she was pregnant under oligospermia, and how could she easily let me go? How can you be so ungrateful? The command of parents and the words of the matchmaker, how can you say you won't get married if you say so? She wanted to please my mother again, but she was slapped hard by my mother. If you want my daughter to marry your son again, there are only 2 words, dream. The Zhou family left in a hurry, and the next day, Zhou Jun came again. I was about to let the doctor drive him out when Zhou Jun spoke again. He seemed to think that I am just angry because the child is gone, and I am just making a fuss with him. It's not really to break off the engagement. Ran, the wedding thing is my fault. I was just too anxious, but I think it's still not so hasty to decide. After all, we have been together for so long. Before he finished speaking, a glass accurately shattered at his feet, startling Zhou Jun. He almost couldn't help his anger and scolded, but he was stopped by Zhou's mother pulling the corner of his clothes. Young Mei walked in from outside the ward, looking at him angrily. How do you still have the face to come here? Get out of here. Zhou Jun didn't dare to confront Young Mei, knowing that my best friend is very powerful. That day's thing is all a misunderstanding. I can explain it clearly, and Ran and I have not broken up yet. I don't believe that Qin Ro forced you to marry her. Don't tell me that human life is paramount. You must not forget that you killed a life with your own hands. After saying this, Young Mei wanted to push Zhou Jun out the door. Such a scum man is a pollution to the air just by staying in the room for a second longer. Ran. Seeing that he couldn't argue with Young Mei, Zhou Jun turned his gaze to me. He still thought that I would help him stop Young Mei as before. What Young Mei said now, every word is what I have said countless times in my heart. If it weren't for my weak body just after the surgery, this despicable man would probably be scolded again. Seeing that I ignored him, Zhou Jun looked a bit annoyed. It's also ridiculous. Young Mei scolded him for so long, he didn't dare to fart, and he only vented his anger on me. Perceiving Zhou Jun's small movements, Young Mei moved to the side, just blocking the line of sight between me and Zhou Jun. Without that annoying gaze, I felt much more relaxed. Zhou Jun seemed to want to say something, but his phone rang just at this moment. He took out his phone, looked at the caller, and looked at me with some concerns, but in the end, he gritted his teeth and hung up the phone. But not long after, the phone rang again. Just answer it. Your little wife is probably anxious. Ran needs to rest here. If you have nothing to do, then go out. Young Mei saw the expression on Zhou Jun's face and knew who was calling, and the words she said were full of sarcasm. You must speak like this. Qin Ro is not in good health, and there are no friends here, only I can help her. Yes, you are a great good man, then go to be a saint. She has hands and feet. People who don't know think she is bedridden. Why not go and ask what the phone call is for you, otherwise something may happen. When Young Mei said this, She had a smile on the corner of her mouth, and she looked at Zhou Jun lightly. Zhou Jun's fist clenched and relaxed several times. He really couldn't stand someone speaking ill of Qin Rou in front of him, but this person happened to be Yang Mei. The Yang family's status was prominent, and it was not someone he could easily offend. During his days, his phone rang for the third time. Zhou Jun gritted his teeth and just left a sentence that he would come later, turned around and left the ward without looking back. After Zhou Jun left, Yang Mei turned to look at my reaction and saw my expression was light, and then she breathed a sigh of relief. Don't worry about me. I have already seen through this scum man. It's just that the heart will inevitably be a little sad. After all, the friendship from childhood is not so easy to give up. After saying this, the ward fell into a long silence. Yang Mei noticed that my mood was a bit low, but she didn't know how to comfort me. Just as she was about to hold back, the door of the ward was pushed open again. What are you doing here? Did you bring her here? Do you think Ranran is living too well now? Yang Mei heard the movement, looked at the door of the ward, and immediately stood up, looking at Zhou Jun and Qin Rou behind him with a look of vigilance. Qin Rou seemed to have been wronged by this, her eyes were red, and she shrank back, pulling Zhou Jun. I'm sorry, I just heard that Sister Ranran is not well, and I wanted to come over and see, and apologize by the way, she said, sweeping her gaze to me, but I avoided it lightly, and she felt more aggrieved. Brother Zhou, should I not have come? When Zhou Jun heard this, he frowned and looked at me who was trying to sit up in bed. Ranran, you used to not to be like this. Do you have to be so ruthless? Ro came with good intentions to see you, and this is the attitude you have? Although the tone of the words is not very intense, the words are full of blame. How funny, I'm like this, and Zhou Jun doesn't feel a bit of pain, but a word from Qin Rou, and Zhou Jun can't wait to stand up for her. This is the attitude you're seeking reconciliation with? I didn't want to answer Zhou Jun's words directly, just looked at him coldly. The moment I sat up, there was a constant feeling of falling pain in my lower abdomen, making my face look very bad now. There is a misunderstanding between you two. Qin Rou is not what you think, and I won't explain it to you clearly. How can you get over this hump in your heart? I looked at Zhou Jun's hand that was protecting Qin Rou. What a clean and innocent. So innocent that they got married. I don't know if they have entered the bridal chamber yet. You don't need to explain so much to me, Zhou Jun. I have made it very clear. You got married with her. There is no relationship between us anymore. I am very tired now. Please take this lady out. Hearing this, Qin Rou didn't know what was wrong, although she still looked weak on her face, but she dared to break away from Zhou Jun's protection and walked towards my hospital bed. This scared Yang Mei. She was really afraid that this woman would do something to me when she went crazy, and immediately rushed over to stop Qin Rou. Qin Rou also took the opportunity to sit on the ground and started crying loudly. Her ability to control her tears is really admirable. I can only say that the stars in the circle don't have such good acting skills. What are you doing? She is a patient. Do you have to treat her like this? When Zhou Jun saw this, he immediately pushed Yang Mei away and helped Qin Rou, who was sitting on the ground, and hugged her in his arms. There are not only one patient here, and I see that she is so lively. She should live to 99 without any problem. Brother Zhou, I shouldn't have made a request to you. I should just die. If my death can make Sister Ranran forgive me, anyway, I can't live much longer. I might as well just die. No. I quickly spoke up to stop her. Dying in front of me is simply too unlucky. If you die, what will Zhou Jun do? I am still waiting to see you two live happily. Zhou Jun's face became very ugly at this moment. Tang Xinran, do you have to be so angry with her? He has said this many times, and I have heard it so many times that my ears are already calloused. Oh, I came so coincidentally. It's so lively here now. Suddenly, there was a commotion at the door of the ward, which made Qin Rou stunned and didn't know how to make a fuss. Everyone in the ward looked outside together. Zhou Jun's face suddenly became very ugly. After all, it was not someone else at the door, but the marriage partner I had settled in front of Zhou Jun. My childhood sweetheart, Qi Xingfan. What are you doing here? Qi Xingfan couldn't help but smile when he heard this, looking at Zhou Jun and Qin Rou in his arms. You have already married someone else, and I am naturally here to accompany my Ranran. Qi Xingfan smiled and answered Zhou Jun's words, regardless of Zhou Jun's expression, and walked towards my bedside. While walking, he also laughed and shook the red book in his hand. When you called me, I even stole the household registration book. Ran Ran shouldn't regret it. What are you dreaming about? And I will still marry Ran Ran. Hearing this, the smile on Qi Xingfan's face finally disappeared, and he carefully looked at Zhou Jun. In the end, he frowned. Zhou Jun, you are not being fair. You can't be so greedy. You are hugging one in your arms. Is Ran Ran going to be the first wife or the second wife when she marries you? Hearing this, Qin Ro hurriedly pushed Zhou Jun away. It's not like this. There is nothing between Zhou Ge and me. This is an explanation, but it sounds like a cover-up. Unfortunately, Zhou Jun, the fool, couldn't hear it. Ro, you don't have to explain to them. We two are clear. What a clear conscience. Qi Xingfan and Yang Mei sneered in tacit understanding. In short, I will marry Ran Ran. You might as well go back. Qi Xingfan didn't answer this, but silently picked up the fruit knife on the table, gesturing towards himself, and finally put the knife on his neck. Ran Ran, do you really not want to marry me? I have said that if I can't marry you in this life, I might as well die. No, I will marry you, and when I recover, we will go to get the certificate. I quickly spoke up, looking concerned, really afraid that Qi Xingfan would do something. Zhou Jun watched, frowning. He always felt something was wrong, but he couldn't say it. Qi Xingfan, what are you pretending here? If you have the ability, really cut it. Zhou Jun looked at Qi Xingfan with a look of watching the excitement. After all, the three of us had a good relationship when we were young, and he understood what kind of character each other was. How could he be the kind of person who would commit suicide casually? Who knew that after hearing this, Qi Xingfan really pushed the knife on his neck a bit, and the knife was sharp, and there was a blood stain on his neck immediately. I only felt my heart being squeezed, and I didn't care about my body being uncomfortable, and I reached out to grab Qi Xingfan's hand. Jun, are you really enough? Do you really want to force him to death to stop? Don't you say that nothing is more important than life? The moment I grabbed Qi Xingfan's hand, I immediately shouted at Zhou Jun. He was obviously confused by this, and he didn't react for a long time. Tang Xinran, are you stupid? Don't you understand his character? He is obviously pretending. At this time, Zhou Jun was smart. How could he pretend? He's bleeding. What else do you want? Do you really want him to die in front of you, and you will be happy? The one next to you is almost dying, but now he is still lively. Zhou Jun is not a fool, and he naturally knows what I mean. But Qin Ro's medical record has been shown to him, with the hospital stamp. Can it be fake? Do you really want to marry him? Do you just let go of our feelings for so many years? Before I had time to speak, Qi Xingfan interjected quietly. It seems that Ran Ran and I didn't grow up together. If it wasn't for you to snatch it first, how could Ran Ran be wrong now? He said, looking at me pitifully. Ran Ran, please promise me, wait until you are well, and we will get the certificate, otherwise I really want to end it here. Okay, I promise you, hurry up and put the knife down, it's dangerous. Zhou Jun still wanted to say something, opened his mouth, and didn't say anything. He didn't know how I became like this. I used to be gentle, today it's like I've eaten a knife. Satisfied with the answer, Qi Xingfan finally put down the knife. Ran Ran, you are just excited now. When you calm down, we will talk about it. Zhou Jun still didn't want to give up, but Qi Xingfan directly turned black. Go, it's all settled. You are still digging the corner here. Do you really think I am dead? As he spoke, Qi Xingfan drove people to the door, then closed the door heavily. The ward finally became quiet. You can do it, even the household registration book was stolen. How did I not know you were so good at acting? Yang Mei saw that the people were gone, and also breathed a sigh of relief, then looked at Qi Xingfan with a smile. I'm not acting. Qi Xingfan pursed his lips, thought for a while, and then said this sentence. Yang Mei immediately stopped talking. Ran Ran, I'm not acting, I'm sincere. You just promised me, you can't go back on it, right? Seeing the atmosphere was not right, Yang Mei quietly left while I was not paying attention, leaving the space to me and Qi Xingfan. Qi Xingfan's eyes had already put away the jest just now, and instead, his face was full of seriousness. Now it's my turn to be silent. You don't have to answer me so quickly, we still have a lot of time, you should rest now. Not getting my answer, the light in Qi Xingfan's eyes dimmed a bit, and he looked like a puppy that had been abandoned by its master. I felt some unknown emotions slowly fermenting in my heart. In fact, for Qi Xingfan, I'm not without feelings. It's just that later, when Qi's company business shifted, Qi Xingfan went to another province with it, while Zhou Jun and I lived close by, and under the urging of our parents, we ended up together. But now, in my current state, I may not be quite ready to enter into another relationship. I buried my head in the quilt, not knowing for a while how to face him. I could feel Qi Xingfan standing by the bed, watching me for a long time, and finally, he sighed deeply and left the ward. What's with you two? Actually, I think Qi Xingfan is quite good, at least better than Zhou Jun, Young Mei said as she came in and saw me hiding under the quilt like a quail. I pursed my lips and didn't speak. After all, we've been good friends for so many years, and Yang Mei could see my concerns. After going through so much, it's understandable that I'm reluctant to accept another relationship. In the following days, Qi Xingfan visited my ward like clockwork every day. Perhaps to give us more opportunities to be alone, Yang Mei came less and less frequently during this period. Each time, it was just Qi Xingfan and I, looking at each other, neither knowing what to say. But Qi Xingfan was considerate, taking good care of me, and I silently added a lot of points for him in my heart. Zhou Jun came to see me several times during this period, but was driven away by Qi Xingfan with a stern face. Every time I saw his hesitant look, I felt a bit amused. I never thought he would have a time when he was at a loss. Let's get the certificate once you're discharged from the hospital, Qi Xingfan said one afternoon as he sat by the bed, peeling fruit for me. Looking at his handsome eyebrows and eyes, I murmured this sentence quietly. Qi Xingfan's hand, which was peeling the fruit, paused, almost cutting himself. What did you say? His tone was full of uncontrollable joy. Little did he know how long he had been waiting for this sentence. Seeing his expectant look, I inexplicably felt like teasing him. I didn't say anything just now. Maybe someone is hallucinating? Hearing this, Qi Xingfan didn't make a fuss. The joy in his eyes couldn't be stopped. You can't regret it. I heard it all. As he wished, after being discharged, I took him home to meet my mother. Mother was very surprised by my decision, but she didn't say anything. She didn't intend to interfere in my emotional matters anymore, mainly because she was really afraid that I would meet the wrong person. Zhou Jun was already a big lesson for her. Qi Xingfan was the one I chose, and she still wanted to choose to believe in me. Will you regret marrying me? I feel that our marriage certificate is indeed a bit hasty. I shook my head. I have a clear understanding of Qi Xingfan's character, and I definitely won't regret my own choice. After getting the certificate, Qi Xingfan held a grand wedding for me. Every link of the wedding, as well as our clothes, was designed by him personally. When exchanging rings, he cried more bitterly than I did, which made me both helpless and amused, but also filled my heart with sweetness. It turns out that being cherished by someone feels like this. Life after marriage is relatively happy. It's just that Qi Xingfan's sense of security is not very strong, probably because Zhou Jun has always appeared in our world. As for Zhou Jun, after I got together with Qi Xingfan, he suddenly became smart and saw through Qin Rou's disguise. I heard that the two had no contact, and Qin Rou changed to another person, but it has nothing to do with me. I have no more relationship with Zhou Jun, I just want to live my own life well with Qi Xingfan. I will only get better and better by staying away